been interesting developments in the funding rounds of the startup ecosystem today. I'm Radhika Das and a very warm welcome to you to Daily Dispatch. The companies in focus today are Postman, Grofers, and Smallcase. Our first story today, Postman, which is the API platform startup, has raised $225 million in its Series D funding round. This brings the startup's valuation to $5.6 billion, which makes it the most valued SaaS unicorn from India. The funding round was led by existing investor Insight Partners with new investors such as Bond Capital and Battery Ventures. The competition in the online delivery space grows further intense, which brings me to my second story. Grocery delivery platform Grofers plans to bring down the delivery time for groceries from 15 to 10 minutes. The startup just became a unicorn and is expanding its services to 10 cities in India. Backed by SoftBank and Zomato, Grofers claims it made 7,000 deliveries under 15 minutes in a single day. A third story today, Amazon has made its entry into the wealth management space. Smallcase, which is a wealth management platform, raised $40 million in its Series C funding round. The funding was led by Amazon Samba Venture Fund and Premji Invest. The startup now has a war chest of $60 million, bringing its valuation to $200 million.
Well, moving on to our second segment, I have with me a very interesting panel, and the topic of discussion today is wedding tech, because that's one space that everybody wants to know about. Now, of course, there is no more big fat Indian wedding that we've been seeing over the last so many years and decades. We have small and more intimate weddings out there. And how is the planning done? That's really the question that we're going to be asking our experts here. I have with me Ankur as well as Shekhar Datta. Both of them join us from very interesting companies. Ankur is from the Knot Worldwide and Shekhar is from Oyo Weddings. Thank you very much for joining us today, gentlemen. I want to begin with you, Shekhar, to ask you about what the wedding scenario has been, and at Oyo Weddings, what kind of trajectory in terms of bookings? Has it been a wave or cyclical wave that you've been seeing over the last couple of months?
Yeah, I think, thanks Priya again. Thanks for having us here. One, I think about what we do as a weddings tech platform, I think you might be aware, but what we do is we help customers give access to a one-stop solution for their weddings requirements, right? So, and because we've been around since 2014, we've actually built this into one of our largest platforms in India catering to that. So we have about 15 lakh visitors, and we have the largest selection of venues listed from pan India on the platform, which is about some 35,000 venues right now as we speak. And of course, that brings with it the ability to access customer reviews on these platforms, which helps future customers to make their decisions easier. And of course, you have to help and enable good user experience across different pages on the platform, check out different venues and understand what your requirements are and find the right fitment. To your question, yes, our demand has mirrored the pattern that we are seeing out in the world, right? And especially in India, in terms of the waves of the pandemic, we saw a very good recovery in the quarter one of this year, quarter one of the calendar year, where we had almost reached about 70 to 80% of pre-pandemic levels, which was very encouraging at that point. Then, of course, we know wave 2 hit, and then there was a dramatic fall. And cautiously, again, the demand is coming back, and we know demand in two ways, right? One is, of course, everybody knows how many bookings that happens, but clearly the organic demand on the platform is clearly very high right now. Let me say very high. I think that should suffice that there is interest. Bookings will take a little more time. People are being very, very cautious. They're being watchful. And I think that's also the right thing right now. So, yeah.
Right. Ankur, I want to bring you in here. What kind of experiences have you seen, and any major challenges that you've been through over the last couple of months?
Yeah, so thank you for having me here, Priya. I'll just briefly, explain you guys like what our platform does. So we are a part of the Knot Worldwide. It was born in 2018 with the merger of WeddingWire and the Knot, world's largest wedding tech platforms. Both of them like more than 10 years old. We are globally number one in this space. And we launched in India in 2017. All of us know Indian weddings are like one of the biggest in the world, and the audience is also very, very big. What we do as a platform is we are a marketplace to help buyers and sellers meet. So on our platform, you will see venues, photographers, makeup artists, all of them, and and we also have a lot of tools that enable customer to plan their weddings nicely. So you can create your own website, you have a checklist, you can invite your guests, and you can read a lot of blogs, articles. So we give them like a full stack in terms of anyone who's getting married. Our experience, to be very honest, has been very good overall in the last couple of months. Our demand is exactly like, as my colleague mentioned, Shekhar, that has followed the trajectory of lockdowns. So whenever there is a lockdown, our demand on the platform will drop. But as soon as the lockdown gets over and there is some ease of restriction in terms of wedding, the demand spikes. You won't believe it. Like our demand changes almost 150% in 2 months. Like from May to July, the traffic on the platform is increased by 150%. So that is what is happening. Overall, as a category, like, the underlying industry, weddings have suffered a lot during the lockdown, primarily because of, there are so many days you can't get married, as well as, there are a lot of restrictions. So on our vendor side, there is still a lot of pain because their revenues are not going back. So for example, if there is a venue who was to host like a 500 people wedding, can only host like around 50 to 100 at this point in time. So on that side, we still see a lot of pain, and thus, like, for us also, business is coming back, but it's slightly slower till they are able to increase their businesses.
Right. Shekhar, you used the word cautiously optimistic in terms of booking for weddings, and we're seeing cautious bookings that are coming up. So what kind of booking numbers are we seeing so far? Because, at one point, people were only booking 1 month prior to the wedding because they really didn't know which way the pandemic would move. So are we still seeing that kind of booking that's playing out where people are literally booking 1 month before the wedding? Or are we seeing bookings that are coming in even for the months of December, November, which are typically wedding months out there? So I'd like to bring both of you in, but let's begin with Shekhar.
No, I think, earlier, before the pandemic, when you look at the demand pattern, people in India, by and large, and, there are some examples or regional variations, but by and large, they like to plan ahead in advance. This is a big deal, right? Weddings is a big family event. You want to get a lot of calendars in the family synchronized. So they would book out way in advance. During wave one or just after wave one, I think that what you mentioned is right? We saw a lot more bookings happening a month or so in advance. I think now, currently, we still are seeing a lot of bookings happening in the M+2 phase, right? So if my wedding 3 months out, people are planning much more, about 50 to 60% of our bookings are still coming like that. Added to that, it's also a very seasonal business, right? Like Ankur was saying, right? So there are only so many dates in a year by the Hindu calendar by which you can get married anyway. So given that our next phase of bookings are still coming in the winter months, we are seeing a lot of interest, but not necessarily bookings immediately. So I think that's where we are right now. But typically, you're right, the cycle time is still shorter. People are willing to wait till the last minute, hoping that they will get some kind of a break, right? Get a higher pack size exemption or whatever, right? And from the authorities looking at the situation. But the added piece is that difference from wave one recovery and the wave two is that with improved vaccination numbers, I think that confidence on organizing and being, of course, on the right side of the compliance, I think is going up. So I think that helps.
Right. Ankur, I want to ask you, in addition to what I asked Shekhar, in terms of venues that are available on your website and the vendors that are available on your website, have, the kind of business agreements with these, stakeholders been modified or tweaked? How does it work for a platform like you, who could perhaps see last minute cancellations, who has to keep a scope for cancellations because of the changing government regulations in the pandemic? How does the whole picture work for you?
Okay, so in terms of our monetization and how we monetize our platform, we are a classified listing platform. So our platform is more of an ad sales business. So if you come to my platform, a vendor decides to advertise on a certain location and category. You can compare it to like, how a Magic Bricks or 99 Acres is monetizing the brokers and the builders. We are kind of selling a package, which is a visibility over the next 1 year. So it's actually helpful, to be very honest, to our partners, because right now the prior way of actually doing a booking was completely like offline, where you need to go and meet a photographer and a venue. Our platform, on the other hand, is seeing a lot of demand for Q4, next year, Q1 as well, because we are enabling a lead or a conversation between the seller and the buyer instead of like, the financial agreement. We don't play a part in the agreement between the consumer and the vendor partner. We are mostly directing the online user to our partner. The negotiation and the transaction happens between them. So we have seen almost 250% increase in our lead volume to vendor partners, and right till January. So what we are doing is, we are helping our vendor partners since the pandemic, where one of our products, which was paid for, on the mobile app, we have made it completely free. Like, so if you are getting an inquiry, you need to have the credentials, and like, for people who are paying us, they can only see the credentials. But since last year, we have made it free, and we've decided till the time the pandemic is over, so our vendor partners can, still continue to engage. I think on their end, as Shekhar mentioned, the pain still exists, where they're getting a lot of inquiries, but the commitment is not happening immediately, like, because everyone wants to pay 1 month in advance so that, like, the chances of cancellation or refunds don't happen. For us, we are solving the vendor pain point brilliantly at this point in time, because they can't get meetings. No one is walking in a venue. We are enabling this, digital conversations through our platform between the vendor and the consumer.
Right. Shekhar, I want to talk to you about the venues and the kind of listings that you're seeing in terms of the various banquets, etc., that have listed on your platform. Are you looking at smaller venues or a flurry of smaller venues coming to list? Are you prioritizing these smaller listings over larger banquets, which may have a capacity of 500 to 1,000 people? So what kind of strategy are you implementing in terms of banquets overall?
So, given that our size is already at, say, the numbers that I told you about, 35,000 odd venues, we have a good mix of all venues already covered. And the good part about, being part of the OYO ecosystem is that we also have a lot of hotels who are part of OYO who have the smaller banquet sizes, who were not necessarily as relevant in the weddings context in the past, in the pre-COVID scenario. The good thing is all of that already comes into play. That synergy definitely helps us because we already have them in the portfolio. As a acquisition strategy, let me just say that while yes, we would definitely prefer more and more of the 100 pack sizes and below kind of banquets today, but the interest that we are getting is from all the spectrum. Because right now, I think the big change that has happened is venue partners, venue owners, vendors, everybody comes and they've realized that customer is going digital, and this is actually solving for a lot for access of customers who are not able to move out because of various restrictions, people who are stuck in different cities but want to plan for the wedding. So now I think the narrative has changed in the last 1.5 years. Priya. What has happened is earlier we would still need to go and sell ourselves and talk about our platform. Today, owners are coming and telling us these are the things you should do more on the platform, add these features. So the My Weddings Venue app is a app which helps partners manage their bookings and everything else. And they're giving me more suggestions on, please add a video testimonial. Please help me, react to customer reviews over there. I'm like super charged when I hear that, right? Because now I think the narrative thing, it's like our Paytm moment in the demonetization phase, right? In many ways. So I think that's the thing. I'm not going out and looking for a certain kind of venues because they are now coming more and more often to us.
Rajina, I want to ask both of you one question in terms of what your areas of diversification or focus would be in the coming months, considering that this is the new normal that we're going to be living with. Are there 3 or 4 areas or 3 or 4 areas that you'd like to focus on, diversify into, add more services onto your platforms? Ankur, let me begin with you.
Yeah, so what we are seeing, as a trend, which we think will continue till end of the year, this big fat Indian weddings that used to happen, say in Thailand or in Bali and Turkey, all of them have moved to India. Because you can't travel at this point in time. So the destination weddings happening in India, say in cities like Jaipur, Goa, and Lonavala, close to your city, you have generally a lot of resorts, in staycation mode. That is a big trend. That's where we are focusing on. This also enables to have a party for 2 days. You can have your guests at one place. Even a smaller gathering becomes a lot of fun. So that is one area we are focusing on. The others, what we are focusing on is, mostly on the tech side, to be very honest. We see a lot of traffic now that is coming to us is, completely mobile first. So we are improving a lot of our product features, on the mobile web and on the app over the next few months. So that will enable customers, to see other products like a gallery product where you can see lehengas on our platform, similar to how Pinterest does that right now. We are also working on improving our create your wedding website feature. We're also integrating WhatsApp in terms of as a tool for notification between the vendor and the consumer. So I think these are exciting times. We are excited about what's in store for us.
See, again, we are fairly aware of our strengths so far in the space, right? Because we work with so many venue owners, and we have both the assisted model where our own teams set out of the venues and help the venue owner convert that demand that's coming online to them. And then we also have a remote demand fulfillment, which is the Weddings Prime feature. Now, that's a digital product completely. Our aim continue to double down on that and make it more and more tech oriented in terms of easier fulfillment for the venue owner as well as for the customer online. So Weddings Prime, you as a venue owner get access to demand, get visibility to the recce's that are happening on your property, convert that customer. If that doesn't convert, at a tip of your fingertip as to what are the reasons why it didn't convert, what are the things that you may need to work upon. Similarly, the weddings pages on the venue pages on my platform, the weddings venue owner has to consistently augment that. I can give him all the tools, add video, add as much of testimonials which are of a certain format, builds confidence, builds conversion. And the third part is, I think, comes from a consumer side. We're giving consumer as many ways of booking something with full confidence offline, right? And so he goes, he checks out the venue, he meets the vendors. We do weddings carnivals, for example, which are it's a Zoom call where the entire groom's family or the bride's family is online. They're checking out the vendors, looking at what they're offering, what is the pricing, and they're doing demos. So I think on many lines, similar to what Ankur is saying on the lehenga side, we are doing it on the bridal makeup, because these are all things that are directly linked to the event. So helping them make the selection, make the payment, I think that's the whole idea. That's where this whole journey is going for us. And we're just doubling down on that, putting our entire focus on that.
Right. On that note, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today for this very insightful panel discussion. I'm sure the audience has many takeaways from this discussion. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for being a part of the Daily Dispatch.
That's a wrap to today's episode. We'll see you again at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Until then, have a good evening.